Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing great and I hope that God is protecting all of you. My name is Amito Mitra from Kampala, Uganda, East Africa. I hope you're all doing great and I hope that God is protecting all of you. I am currently living in Michigan, United States of America. I am my husband's handbag, so I move with him wherever he goes. He's currently working in Michigan for I think 1 month. And yeah, I had to move with him. But his sister, who stays in Michigan, his younger sister who stays in Michigan, was very kind enough to host the both of us. So yeah, I am happy. I'm around my husband. Unfortunately, I can't be with him during the day because he has to work. And this is something my husband will not be okay with. But I'm going to move around alone just for the purposes of talking to you guys and showing you around. My husband does not want me to do this because he feels it's not safe for me to walk around. But guess what? My husband got me this spray. It's pepper spray, and he told me to always move with it. So I have it here just in case the dogs attack me or somebody attacks me. I'll be good to go. Otherwise, I am so happy talking to you guys, and I'm also happy moving around with you guys. I'm going to be showing you this neighborhood. Grace told me that this used to be, I don't know if I can cover if I can cover the name of the street for security reasons. So our sister Grace said that in this area there used to be a factory. I don't remember what factory it was, but it was a factory that employed so many people here in Michigan. Unfortunately, the factory closed at one point, but the factory had built all these houses around here that I'm about to show you for their staff. Like the people that used to work at the factory used to stay in these houses, but when the factory closed, most of these people left their homes, their houses, and went elsewhere to look for employment. So I think the real estate people picked up the houses, I think bought them, something like that, and now started selling them to individuals. So that's the neighborhood Grace stays in. I'm going to show you how the houses look like. They remind me so much of home because yeah, back home our houses are this close to each other, so this makes me feel so much like I'm in Kampala. This is the kind of home where you can go to your neighbor's place and ask for salt, ask for some sugar, ask for some firewood, fire, charcoal. Oh god, how do they call omuliro? Omuliro gokukumasigiri in English. Anyway, you can always go to your neighbors and ask for anything. Let me show you the neighborhood in a bit. Yeah, so this is the neighborhood here in Michigan, and it is quiet. I think people are at work, but even when people are not at work, people are always in their houses. You can never know whether there is someone in a house or not because of how quiet these places are. I think the whole of US is like this. Okay, for the places that I've been to, Ohio and this part of Michigan, these places are really quiet. So another thing about this neighborhood is it makes you feel so at home because it has so many black people. There's so many black people in this neighborhood. I think they're African Americans, but just because they are black, they make me feel so at home, as opposed to, okay, of course I feel at home everywhere, but in Ohio I am so much reminded that I am in a foreign land because I see so many white people around, like not in bad faith, I think you guys understand what I mean. Yeah, there are so many black Americans here, but the only challenge with the black Americans here, I think they can notice that I am not black American. They know I am black, like I am African. So like the way they look at me, the way sometimes they don't even smile. I don't know why, because back home when you meet an African, okay, even here, the times I've met Africans, like real Africans who are coming from Africa, when I look at them and smile, they smile back. But black Americans, they don't smile back. I don't know why. Anyway, currently I'm in a park that is not far away from home. Let me show you how it looks like. So this is a park. Something I have noticed about the US is I think local governments provides parks for people to picnic, for people to rest, for people to come and have fun. Yeah, Grace said that you can always come to the nearest park and just do whatever you want to do, as long as it's not like a huge party, simanya wedding, what. It has to be something simple like a picnic, birthday party. You can always come here and free of charge. Nobody's going to charge you for coming to this place, as opposed to back home such places we pay for them to host like graduations, to host birthdays, to host all those parties. But we also have a few designated gardens for like picnics and people to just sit, but those are very, very few, as opposed to here in the US. In the US there are so many. It's like every neighborhood has a park where kids can come and play, and it even has the amenities for the children to play. For example, here facing me is a playground for kids. Yeah, that's the kids playground. Whereas in the background there is somewhere for people to play basketball. Yeah, and the grass is greening. It's really green. It is fun to sit here. I wish I had my husband to take some of my pictures here. It's really beautiful. Anyway, let me go and sit there and talk to you about something I wanted to share with you guys. I'm tired of walking and holding the camera. So I've gotten somewhere to sit at the park. Oh my god, there is a bee around me disturbing my legs, my hands. I hope it does not sting me. Anyway, I would like to address something that I've been seeing so many people ask about. In almost every video I upload, there is someone in the comment section requesting me to talk about the bride price in Africa. I'll be very honest with you, I don't know much about Africa as a whole, but I know about Uganda and specifically my culture, and of course a few other cultures where I have attended traditional ceremonies. God, the bee, Jesus Christ, I hope I'm safe. So shortly after my husband had proposed to me, he was supposed to officially introduce himself to my parents, right? And that whole process of him introducing himself to my parents is called anena in my language. It is called kuchala in Luganda, and it's called the visit in English. So my husband was supposed to carry one of his like close relatives or close friends or a brother if he had one, come with them for the visit. Oh god, I freak out when people walk besides me, so please pardon me. I freak out. Anyway, my husband has so many close friends, but he had to speak to one of them to accompany him to Uganda to meet my parents, you know. So Andrew accepted to join my husband in Uganda, and they went to meet my parents. And by my parents I mean my uncles. So in our culture, my mom does not talk about bride price with my husband. It's my uncles. If my dad was around, it would have been my dad talking to my husband, but since in this case my dad is deceased, it was my uncles, who are brothers to my dad, that stood in the gap for my dad. So my husband, his friend Andrew, and other two friends of mine that are now my husband's friends as well, that's Nasa and Ronnie, came home to meet my parents for the very first time and declare their intentions to marry me. If you are going to visit an African home, it is something that we've grown up knowing since we were children. If you are going to visit an African home or visit anyone, you have to carry things. I did a whole video about that visit. You guys should just scroll down and you'll see what transpired. So my husband and his friends came with a few things to visit my family, but in that ceremony, right, my husband tells my uncles, or told my uncles his intentions, and my uncles retaliated with what they expected of him. They come up with a list of items, and on this list are this is how we marry back home. Our parents ask for cows, they ask for goats, and then they ask for some things that are symbols of the tradition. Now, in my case, the things like saucepans, my husband was supposed to bring us like saucepans from the smallest to the biggest, not those very huge saucepans that are used to cook food during burials, during big functions in the village, those ones. Yeah, so it has to be a whole set of saucepans, like from the smallest saucepan to the hugest. Now the big saucepan can fit two of us, like me and my husband together. He's supposed to bring hose, he's supposed to bring pangas, and those are determined by, I think, the number of uncles or brothers my dad had, something like that, because he bought so many hose and pangas. And then he's supposed to bring a rocking chair, of course gomeses for my aunties and my mom, and there's so many things there that I've forgotten. I have to still go back and look through the list. I don't know where it is. Maybe my husband has it. I'll try to look through the list and maybe write down some of the things here. That's if we see the list. But there were some other small things. And then money. Now the money bit is now, because it is expensive moving animals in Kampala. Some families, some parents request that your husband brings the cows and the goats in monetary form, right? So that is what my parents requested for. They requested for the cows, the goats to be brought in monetary form, right? So they just had to agree on the price at which each goat was and each cow was. And if they were asking for like 20 cows, then they would have, and let me say each cow was at like 2.5 m, they would do 2.5 times 20, and that will be how much they would receive for the cows. And then they would do the same for the goats. And then and then there is some other money that is asked for separate from the cows and the goats, and that money is also a lot. So some families will ask for like, let me say 50 million, others will ask for like 40, others will even ask for more than that, and others will ask for like 20, So my family wrote that list, put it together, and handed it over to my husband and his friends. So my husband looked through the list, and of course it was huge, like they were asking for so many things. So my friends Ronnie and Nasa came in at this point, because I had already told them, I briefed them, and I was like, Manang, my husband is not good at bargaining. Help that man. For him, he's just going to say yes to everything, but help him bargain. So Nasa, because Andrew didn't know how to bargain either. They are both Americans, white Americans for that matter, and they don't know much about, the whole African culture. So Nasa and Ronnie helped my husband to bargain. So they're like, these cows have been overpriced, like we cannot be paying 2.5 million per cow, maybe reduce it to this. So that whole bargaining and cutting down costs and reducing items and talking to each other is what the whole first visit entails. But of course, that aside, there is also getting to know each other. Of course, that during that period, my uncles ask so many questions. They want to know who my husband is. They want to know the kind of man who wants to take their daughter. They want to know the family, where he comes from. So they ask him questions about his family, his parents, where he stays, what he does, all those things they do ask during that first meeting. They also want to know about his friends, where he went to school. Like, they do ask a lot. Sometimes I think some people feel like you're getting into my private life, but yeah, if you're out there and you're going to marry an African girl, believe me, African parents are going to ask all questions, the ones you're comfortable with and the ones you're not comfortable with. So that happened, but at the end of it all, there is celebration after they have agreed on the things that my husband will bring. Of course, they come to a conclusion. They become my husband is okay with it, my family is okay with it, they're like in the middle. But of course, definitely you can't say my husband was okay with it, because nobody is okay to take money away from them. This is the whole process of my parents taking money away from my husband. But I mean, when you fall in love with an African girl, expect this. So it was something my husband expected, and he had no option. So at the end of it all, they eat, they drink, we celebrate, and then they leave. And then they now think about when they are ready to come back and pay the bride price. So my husband had to go back home and think about it, talk to his parents, his siblings, and then they chose a date that was okay for them to come back and now pay the bride price, and then we do the actual bride price celebration. So like I told you, my husband did the first visit in December 2023, and then he came back in October 2024, almost 1 year later, like 8 months, I don't know, 8-10 months later, to now pay the bride price. I feel that was enough time for my husband to prepare himself. Now this is what I wanted to talk about. I bow down for every foreigner that pays a bride price in Africa or in Uganda in particular, because in Uganda, the men that fall in love with fellow Ugandans and have to pay bride price normally have a backup of their families, their friends, their workmates, like so many people line up behind them to support them. So back home, men going to get married normally do like meetings, like for 2-3 months. People come together and collect money, people pledge, people do this, that, and the other to make sure that this marriage is a success. For example, if there is a total of 100 million that is expected, I'm talking about 100 million Ugandan shillings, not dollars. That is way more than what my parents asked for, but I'm just saying, if, let me say, the man has been asked for a total of 100 million, right, Ugandan shillings, this man sits down so many of his relatives, and you know, we have very big families in Uganda. His families and relatives and distant cousins and distant uncles and whoever, friends, workmates, all come together and collect this money. So you'll find that out of the 100 million, this guy has been given like 85 million from friends, relatives, colleagues. Everyone around that has supported them has collected like 85 million, and then the remaining less than 20 million is, the remaining 15 million is what the man gets out of his pocket. So at the end of it all, it becomes easier for the African men to pay bride price to the African women. But for my husband, it was quite different. That's why, you guys, every time I wake up, sometimes I just tell my husband thank you for no reason. Because I mean, how did he handle paying this bride price? With Americans, it's not a culture here. It's not a culture that you're going to get married, but you're going to call your relatives and sit them down and tell them, you know what, there is this girl in Uganda I'm going to marry. They asked me for 100 million, so I need you guys to come through for me. Nobody's going to do that for you. Not because I think they don't want, but it's not their culture. I think they'll even look at you like, what is wrong with you? Are we the ones going to marry this woman? It is you who sent you. So Bambi, my husband, didn't have that kind of support from calling relatives, having a meeting with them and telling them to collect money for him. No, he had to do it on his own. Good enough, he has supportive parents that also came through for him here and there, but he never sat down a whole 100 people meeting to collect money and come and pay bride price. So I really respect him. My husband is just 32 years old. Like, you'll not have in Uganda, the very few 32-year-olds that can pay that kind of bride price on their own, you know. So I really respect my husband and all other foreigners that do this. And on top of that, you are going to pay this bride price, and you're also going to organize the function. You are going to organize the function. If you want a beautiful function, you are going to organize a beautiful function. And in Uganda, it is expensive organizing a function. Decoration alone, if you do not have like 30 million, you can't get decent decoration. It's 30 million and above, right? You have to pay for food. The hotels or the caterers that we have charge per plate. Someone is going to ask for 100,000 per plate. The list I've heard about is like 85,000 Ugandan shillings per plate, depending on where you're going to have this introduction or this ceremony from. 85,000 per plate, and imagine you're inviting 300 people. How much is that? Then you have service providers to take care of. You have the music system that you have to pay for. You have photography that does not go below 2 million. You have videography. You have to dress up. You have transportation to move your relatives and the in-laws from one place to another. You have cake. Wedding cakes are expensive, you all know that. You have maybe the venue to pay for. You guys, it's not easy. It's not easy. At the end of it all, you might spend like almost or more than 300 million for just a function like that. Bride price plus whatever you're going to incur in making the function a success. That money can do so much for you in the next, I don't know how many years. But because you decided to marry an African girl, you're going to lose all that money. So I really bow down for all the men that marry African girls and pay their bride price. You guys are amazing. If you're there, clap for yourself. You are amazing. Clap for my husband. Clap. Yeah, my husband paid all those things. During that function, his parents came, like both his parents, his siblings, family friends that escorted them, and some of my male friends accompanied him, and he paid the bride price, and then we ate. After paying bride price is when you eat. They cannot let you eat before paying the bride price. So after they've received all their bride price and they are contented, they're like, oh, it's last time. So they had dinner. It wasn't lunch, it was dinner. They had dinner, ate, and then that's when I also join. I only join him after bride price has been paid. So all the time I'm in the bedroom hiding. They're not supposed to see me until they've paid all the bride price. So when we're done with paying the bride price, I came out and I ate with them, and then we interacted, and they were happy. And then after eating, they had the last words with my uncles, and then they said goodbye to them, and then they went to prepare for the actual function that now happened on Saturday, or that happens the following day. Other cultures have all these things happening on one day, but my culture, bride price has to be paid the day or the evening before, and then the following day is now the actual function that you guys watched in the wedding video. The whole like beautiful decoration and the whole, you know, celebration and everything, cake cutting, all those things now happen the following day. And that was the day my parents officially handed me over to Mr. Steve, right? And yeah, that is the whole process of paying bride price in my culture where I come from.
Sometimes I wish my daddy was here so I could get a little hold of what a daddy could give. I saw my dreams fade in the streams of the dead running water has a sat on the streets. Sometimes I wish my dreams were real. I would have been a little different in viewing me. I saw my hopes fade in the streams of the dead running water has a sat on the streets. He had up on me even if you brought me roses. My grandmama told me every day I know it took a little longer to truly appreciate who I am and stop holding to illusions that can haunt in my mind. Surely I've seen it sitting on the sea, so the world keep on turning around till you hear a bingo. They told me about a God, I wanna know him more. He told me to be humble so we could let me know. He had up on me, had up on my clothing, had up on my story, had up on my glory. It's all about you. You brought me this far from nowhere. I give you all the glory. You deserve much better when I know this. I'm running back to my roots in the fast lane, hoping you could hug me on the same day. Gracious, nice, no scared. They was looking at me saying that I'm so fake. Now we've been rolling many years under this red. I feel your strong hand on me, my chest. I'm gonna press a little harder with no games, cause I know where I'm going, not no stress. Sometimes I wish you was sitting right beside me. I would definitely be the lean the shoulder when I'm crying. It's a little bit of me, it's what it takes, and I'ma leave the rest to God. He knows best. It really doesn't matter if my life is boring. In your eyes, that's the only view of his glory. Come and dwell in me, Holy Spirit, cause you made my eyes see clearly. He had up on me, had up on my clothing, had up on my story,